Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Geek podcast, where we celebrate geek, nerd, and pop culture. Each week, we deliver the best analysis for fans, by fans, on anything related to movies, TV, video games, comics, anime, and manga. We talk geek. And now, here's the Get Geek podcast.
Yo, what's going on, y'all out there? Welcome to another episode of the Get Geek podcast. I am Jose.
And this is Wolfie.
It's just going to be the two of us today. The rest of the Get Geek crew / cross-gen crew had some prior engagements this week. Some having to do with one of Wolfie's Geek Outs from a couple of weeks ago regarding graduation and all that stuff. So they're going through some of those commencements this weekend. And we could not be happier. So definitely shout out, quick congratulations to the rest of the cross-gen and Get Geek crew for graduating, kicking butt in school, and getting ready to do bigger and bigger things every single day. I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of you, crew. So a quick shout out to y'all. Very quickly, before we get into the podcast today, I just want to do our quick little spiel about rating, sharing, and subscribing to the podcast. That is the best way to support your favorite podcast crew. You can comment on our posts. That's one great way to generate engagement for a podcast that you really, really enjoy. And definitely share it with friends of yours that you think would like some geeky stuff. We are available where all your favorite podcasts are sold. So please check us out. Give us some engagement. We really, really appreciate all y'all fans out there so far. So yeah, we got a great episode for you today. As always, obviously our episodes are always great, right? I mean, so, Wolfie, you want to lead us into what we're going to talk about today? Have a look at it.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, we're just bringing you guys another Geek
Yes,
Out.
we are.
And again, for those of you guys that are new to the show, Geek Out's where we literally just geek out. We haven't spoken about anything that we're geeking out over. I mean, I guess we kind of geek out during our chats about other stuff and whatnot. But this is kind of an opportunity to do what we always do, what all nerds and geeks do, which is sit around and geek out over stuff. The geek out, today's Geek Out for me is an interesting one. So I briefly mentioned them last week on the podcast. But I want to kind of talk a little bit more about it today because I'm truly geeking out over this. And what it is that we've discovered, I don't even want to say that I discovered. I think was it you, Jose, that discovered it? Or
it might be. I mean, to be perfectly honest, one of us definitely saw this place and we were blown away by it.
Someone discovered a retro only video game store in Brooklyn, here in Brooklyn, New York. It's called Brooklyn Video Games. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
And
Brooklyn Video Games.
they deal specifically in the restoration and the sale, the buy and sell of retro video games, systems, games, everything. They import, they do custom systems, or rather sell custom systems and whatnot. And I just fell in love with the idea of visiting this store, just because it's reliving my childhood memories, our childhood
oh my
memories
goodness
and stuff. So I went and checked it out. I went and checked out the store, and it was more than I even anticipated. They are super legit. They have pretty much any system that you could imagine. They have the Ataris, they have all the original PlayStations, the Super Nintendos. They even have the Famicons. When they get them, they sell out really quick, but they get Famicons from Japan.
Japanese consoles? That's amazing.
They have the Japanese consoles. They have the Japanese games. This is basically a store for people that collect video games, which, it's funny because I myself have a bunch of friends, I'm sure that you do too, that like to kind of collect the old school systems and have them on display and have all the old video games and stuff. And I kind of regret getting rid of my systems. I always kind of just gave them to cousins of mine, kind of hand me downs and stuff. But now I kind of want to recollect.
Yeah, I gave a friend of mine a PlayStation 3 that I wasn't using anymore recently too, and I'm kind of thinking the same way, because a friend of mine that wants to go back and collect all these old consoles was talking about a store in the city that maybe we got to visit at some point as well that does something similar. They sell retro consoles, retro games, but I want to go there and get some of the systems that I never had. Also, like a Nintendo 64.
Yes.
Man, because like I mean, I used to go to my
Dude.
friend's house. We used to play the wrestling games. Like those were the bomb back then. GoldenEye, like all that stuff. Like my girl loves GoldenEye, you know what I mean? And she's been getting back into gaming again.
You never had the 64?
Yeah, I was a Sega kid. You know what I mean? I had the Sega Master System, I had the Sega Genesis, I had the 32X and the Dreamcast and the Saturn. It wasn't until
you see the Dreamcast.
Yeah, it wasn't until I want one of those again for sure, but it wasn't until I think it was the Saturn. I think the Saturn was the last one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Saturn was the last one.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until then, and I'll tell you how I made the switch very quickly, is I remember Blockbuster used to be able to rent consoles, you know? So I rented a PlayStation and like Tomb Raider for a weekend. And I already played Tomb Raider on the Saturn, and it looked so much better and was so much smoother on the PlayStation. That's when I made the switch eventually. That's when I was like, you know what, Sega, I'm sorry, y'all are going downhill.
The Saturn was the last one.
The Saturn wasn't a great console, to be honest. I mean, the Dreamcast was amazing.
I loved my Saturn, to be honest. The issue was that it didn't have enough games.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You know what I mean? Without the games,
and then the Saturn ended up becoming the Xbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the same the same CEO or whatever, same team that was launching it, right?
Well, the same team that created the Saturn was either, I believe the team was bought out. I believe they were bought out by Microsoft.
I know that the CEO or somebody like the head of that team was definitely went to Microsoft.
Yeah, or maybe it was just the head of the team, but I know that he brought over a lot of the team that created and built the Saturn to create the Xbox. I mean, which is why we have like the huge Xbox controller. It was kind of like a hybrid of the Saturn
and
controller,
like and the Dreamcast. Disc. Like those two were kind of those huge controllers.
Yeah. The Dreamcast was the Xbox Fat controller. And so speaking of the Dreamcast, that's one system that I really, really want, and I didn't realize that these old school systems are now very, very valuable, because they sell these systems at $300 and $400 because obviously they don't make them anymore. And if you get a system that's in the original box and pristine condition, it's worth the, I don't know how much the Dreamcast debuted at, but I'm pretty sure like around that $300 range. You know, back then $300 was a lot of money.
I think it was $400 because that was the only time that I bought Walter his Dreamcast. I think, I decided to buy him a super awesome gift one year, and I bought him the console. So it was about $400.
Just the 1 year.
Yeah. Was that?
Just the 1 year.
Yeah. I've never bought him anything good since then. But like, I had more extra money burning a hole in my pocket that year, and he wanted one, so I bought him one. But yeah, it was about $400. Yeah. So they're sticking with the same price.
So I was there. And I was like, you know, I wanted to pick something up, but I was overwhelmed with how much cool, awesome stuff was there. And I ended up picking up, it took me like 20 minutes to make this decision, but I ended up picking up a Zelda edition Nintendo DS Lite. And I picked up, just for the collector's sake, and I think I mentioned this before, a combo game, a Japanese version combo game of A Link to the Past and Zelda Four Swords.
Interesting.
Which I totally can't play because it's in Japanese. But I just wanted to like have this as the first item that I picked up, you know, in my retro video game collection journey.
I mean,
at least the start.
When you have your own like house or like apartment with like a lot of space, I'm assuming there's just going to be a room for this, right? Like that's the goal.
Oh yeah, it's just like my studio, my office that I have right now, right? Like my, you know, you guys out there can't see my office, but in my office I have like all my Vegeta Pop collection display. I have Gundams on display, artwork all over the place, chess set, my Comic-Con limited edition Todd McFarlane, you know, first appearance of Venom poster, 1 of 100 on display.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. That's amazing.
You know, oh, it's right here.
That's a little bit braggadocious. Like, that's the one right there. Yeah, I see it. Oh man, I remember that artwork too, because Walt has that comic, I believe. He has that actual issue.
Yeah, he has. Yep. It's the one that has the metallic cover, metallic foil. So, yeah, I'm totally gonna have this. It just like, this is like my den. So it'd be dope to like be able to like outfit my den with a, you know, rack of old school systems and stuff. But the other thing, and I don't know if this is actually kosher for me to mention,
Mm-hmm.
but on Amazon, you can get a DS card that's preloaded with 500 of the
It
original
works with the
games.
console. It's just a cartridge that, or
Well, it's not even emulation. It's just it has all the DS games, so like it's basically native. And
Mhm.
so I have the DS, and then I have like this one game that I bought that has over 500 games, including like all the Pokemons, all the Zeldas, um, like all the Metros that came out. And we're talking about like the DS games,
Mhm.
right? Including New Super Mario Brothers, Mario Kart DS, Mario Kart 60, I mean, Super Mario 64,
That's a good question,
Mario and
actually.
Luigi.
Hmm.
I have all the Final Fantasies up to
So you don't
6.
need the new version that's coming out,
Um,
the Final Fantasy like remake Pixels or whatever
No,
it
I'm
is.
definitely gonna get that one just because like it's the Pixel Master, it's the Pixel
Mhm.
remaster.
Mhm.
Um, Definitely gonna get that. Absolutely, I totally believe in getting the actual games, but for convenience, nothing beats having like just the one cartridge and all the games at your
I kind of
disposal.
wonder like what the you asked if that was kosher or not. Like I have to wonder that too because so my girlfriend's brother bought me like I think I mentioned it and you guys have seen it like the little Genesis,
Yeah,
but like it's not made by
yeah.
Sega. So I'm kind of wondering, and these things are selling all over the place these days. So I'm wondering if it is
Well,
kind of
I
legal. I don't
think
know. We,
I think that there is something about like if the property is out of print for X amount of
I can
years,
imagine that makes
it
sense.
becomes like
Yeah.
public use or something like that. That's why you can like download the ROMs. But this was sold on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, like somebody's making money off of it.
I mean on Amazon. So
So
it's
that
like,
changes it a
like
little.
like Amazon is, what I mean? Like it's I don't think Amazon would be dealing in something that would have like copyright
Yeah, because
infringement
I
like that.
know that
Unless
with books and stuff like that, like you're right, it becomes public domain eventually. But I thought that was like, well, I don't know how it is with video games because with books, I think it's like after the creator or the writer dies. So like none of these people that made these Nintendo games are dead, as far as I know. They're still alive making Pokemon and Super Mario games. So I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Maybe because the consoles are dead.
Maybe that's what it is. That is the
They
reason
don't make
behind
them
that.
anymore. Who
I
knows?
really don't know. It's a good question, but like, man, that sounds awesome that you have that cartridge with all those games. Like, everybody wants to have like that good
Yeah.
emulation, have access to all that stuff.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's not like emulators, right? Because like I've
Mm.
played like Nintendo
Right, right. Wrong
emulators,
word.
and the thing with emulators is that the emulation is good, but it doesn't run as smooth. This is perfect. This is how it's supposed to run on the DS, which is
So you said
awesome.
it's a,
So,
a cartridge, right?
um,
Like just with a ton of storage, I guess. Like just a regular DS
yeah,
cartridge.
because if you remember that the DS cartridge is basically an SD
Yeah.
card,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So it's an SD card that
That's
has a
true.
slot for the mini
Yeah.
SD, and it's just all
You could
preloaded
put a
games in the mini
512
SD.
SD or a 256, and well, that's probably way more than enough. You probably only need like what a 128 or a 64 SD to get
I don't know how big this
DS
one is,
games on
but
there.
it
I
has
mean, they're not in the
all these
gigs,
games
right?
in
They're
one
probably in
loaded.
the megs, the megabytes. Those
No, no, no.
games,
Yeah, I think the DS games are in the
right?
megabytes. DS
So you
games are
don't
in the
you don't need that
megabytes.
much
Yeah,
storage for that, I would imagine.
yeah,
What else
yeah.
did you see there while you were there that you were
Um,
like kind of super excited about?
well, it's not so much that because I was super excited about
Everything.
everything, but the thing that I'm most excited about them with the store is that when I got there, I had no idea that they were opening up a second location, and that day happened to be the grand opening
Mm,
of their second
okay.
location. And their second location has a full-on old school arcade in the basement,
Oh, really? I think
which is what I'm super excited about going with the team.
that could be one of our
So
first
I
expeditions.
I've been
Hmm.
suggesting, yeah. Well, I mean, I've been suggesting that we go out there and check it out. I think it's one thing that we need to start doing. That we're gonna start doing
Hmm.
actually is making some expeditions, start partnering up with certain retailers and brands to kind of cooperate with the with our podcast.
Hmm.
And I think this is going to be one of the first best partnerships that we can do.
I mean,
um
people like
so
our
I,
video
I
game
think that like
casts, right?
next week, hopefully next week we're gonna be able to bring to you guys a our visit to Brooklyn Video Games number 2, um which I mean, if I can spend a couple hours playing video games, I'll be a happy man.
I
I mean,
agree.
I know that they have a lot of the old school fighting games, most of the old school like Japanese machines as well. I'm looking forward to them finishing their Marvel vs. Capcom 2 setup, which it wasn't set up yet,
Okay.
but if they got that set up, it's gonna be a big thing. And there's a lot of things that that we're gonna be able to do with this.
Mhm.
So just to kind of inform you guys all, we got a lot of big things coming. A lot more giveaways, a lot more events that we want to start
Mhm.
holding. Um, and I don't think that I got a chance to mention this to you, Jose, but I'll give you guys all a little bit of a
Bit of a
hint.
surprise.
We will be holding some competitive events for the
We
public.
are?
So stay
Oh
tuned.
man, that sounds dope, dude. We're
Yeah,
gonna
we are.
sponsor like a
Absolutely.
gaming championship or something like that. You know what? You don't have to
Something
spoil it
like
right
that.
now.
Something on the local
I love
level.
that idea.
Something
I love
like
that
that.
idea.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil anything. Like until it's real and it's out there and it's
Hmm.
done. It's hard for me to like want to speak it out into existence, without it being done yet. But there's a lot of cool stuff that's coming.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I love the idea
um,
because it's going to be a good chance for us to highlight some stuff that the geek community is going to enjoy outside of video games and movies, like actual businesses and people that are doing some dope things in the geek community. I think it's going to be really really fun. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll start going to cons and all that. Like we want to do a lot of good things with this cast this year. So we'll see what happens. But we're definitely going to visit there soon. I can't wait to check out the arcade, dude. That sounds amazing.
S- Yeah. So, guys, so for those of you guys that are looking for the locations and stuff
Hmm.
like that, so the Instagram page, it's Brooklyn Video Games is the original store and the original
Hmm.
page, and the you can find them on Instagram and probably all the other social media handles. Their address is 6801 20th Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. And their other location, which is their other IG page, is Brooklyn Video Games and Arcade, which is their second location. That one is 6120 4th Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. And here's the other really cool thing that they do.
Hmm.
Okay, you can go on their page, you can check out what they
Hmm.
have, and when they buy something new and it's ready for sale, they'll put it up there, and you can claim it via DM.
Really?
So you can you can claim like brand, because they go fast, right? So I'm looking forward to Super Famicom. I've never had it and I really want it. I'm just paying attention to the page, and as soon as I see it, I'm gonna DM them to claim it, and I think I have something like 24 hours to pick it
Okay.
up. But
That
this
seems
way,
fair.
like I got basically they have a dib system. You can call first
That's
dibs
fair though. I like that.
through
24
Instagram
hours,
DM.
that's
Yeah,
fair to both the business and to the person who claims it. It's like if you can't get it relatively
yeah,
quickly, it goes
absolutely.
to the next person that really wants it, with the demand that
Yeah,
they
and
have.
speaking of Sega Saturn, it looks like they just got like a Sega Saturn, pickup over here, because they just recently posted uh Cyber Speedway, Crusader, and Sega Sports, which are all Sega Saturn games, which you could straight up call out, DM them and call dibs
Oh
and
yeah, I
stuff.
see
So,
that on the page
I
here.
think this is
Hmm.
really really cool. It's great for the gaming community in general, and it's great for us older folk.
Yeah. It's great for us 80s
It'll be
kids.
awesome to like kind of get like the younger kids involved.
I mean, it's
So
dope because like when you think about it, man, like they're the history of video games in that place.
yeah,
It's like a
exactly.
history
This
museum
is
kind of.
you can go to these places. You can go to Brooklyn Video Games, and it's basically a museum. And these guys, they're super cool,
Hmm.
man. Like I see them interacting with everyone, and you can pretty much go in there and they'll give you the history lesson of everything. So it really be like going to a museum.
It's like a dream
You
job,
know,
man. You just go and talk about video games like all
yeah,
day. That sounds pretty
yeah,
dope, or at least like
hell
a good
yeah,
hustle. Have your little side hustle or whatever. But you could start it here. And like when you talk about like it being a museum, you have the arcade too. So you have the console museum and you got the arcade
yeah,
museum,
yeah.
which is what makes it really amazing. Which is why, yeah, I can't wait to go and check out the arcade and all that stuff, man. I want to get a Dreamcast just like you, and an N64 at some point in the near future. So shout out to Brooklyn
Yeah.
Video Games and Brooklyn Video Games and Arcade for being amazingly dope, basically.
Yeah, man, go check them out, guys. Again, I love the place, and can't wait to go back next week. So that's my geek out. That's what I've been geeking out over the entire week as I've been playing my DS every single day. So
Yeah, yeah. So that sounds like a lot of fun. I've been geeking out over a couple of things. I'll give a quick mention. I've been working hard on my own podcast, Positively Cynical. I've been geeking out about the response so far. That's all I'm going to say. We ain't trying to do crazy cross promotion here. I'm just really happy about that. So thank you to anybody who's been listening to that. And all my positively cynical fans, check out Get Geek Podcast, check out Grappling Review, and check out CrossGen. I'll be talking more about that on my own podcast because I love doing this as well. Let's move on to the gist of what we got to talk about today, though. I mean, a little bit of what I'm geeking out about. Y'all talked about it a little bit. It's some of the stuff we saw at E3 2021. We talked about it on the first episode a couple of weeks ago, me and Walt and AJ and Eli, and you got a chance to like really, really dig deep with some of your impressions this past week, and that was another great episode. But you know, some of the things that I didn't get to really see on that first podcast, which we did it while E3 was going on, which is why we did our second episode to wrap up. One of the things that I've been looking forward to, it's fairly simple, but like I've been really looking forward to games like Microsoft Flight Simulator. Super simple. But like I guess I could say I'm looking forward to Game Pass and all the crazy stuff that's going to be coming out there to begin with. And I know y'all talked about it. You talked about Halo Infinite, which I'm looking forward to the return of old school Halo multiplayer. I think that's the thing that like on that, like I'll give little details as to what I saw and what I'm loving. The return of old school Halo multiplayer, and I've talked to some friends about this. You know, we like Call of Duty here. I'm not the biggest fan, but we love Call of Duty, Battlefield, Fortnite, you know, all these games that have come out and been really big in the shooting multiplayer scene, FPS scene, especially over the last couple of years. But like, man, who doesn't miss like some Halo multiplayer? Like, especially old school Halo 2 style multiplayer.
Yeah.
It's going to be really, really good to kind of jump back into that and like snipe some dude while he's flying through the air or something crazy like that, you know, getting your warthog and run people over. Like it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, because Halo as a shooter is a very different shooter from
everything.
Just like the look and the feel of it, you know, the way that you jump, the way that you move, the whole nine is very different from like all these other games that kind of feel a little bit more, I don't want to say mundane, but relative to each other, right?
Yes.
Like, you know, like realistic shooters all feel the same, you know?
Yeah, like at least in how you move. Maybe the shooting mechanics and some other things are different, but Halo had a unique way of moving around the world and interacting with the world, jumping all over the place. We all have seen the memes and seen the online players who are literally like hopping all over the place. But Halo's fun. Like it's fun to jump around in circles and like try to shotgun somebody in midair. You know, you don't get that experience in other games. I mean, you really don't. You know, there's a lot of other variations that are really, really fun. But I'm looking forward to that for sure. I'm very, very excited about Halo Infinite. Microsoft Flight Simulator is another one that I'm really, really looking forward to because I've just been really interested in seeing what they're going to do with open world this generation. I know I've talked about that on previous casts, but like when you're talking about the whole planet and flying around the whole planet in this game, finally it coming to the Xbox Series X is something that I'm looking forward to. But the biggest thing I want to talk about, and I think you guys talked about this on last week's cast as well. In fact, I know that you did. Just want to give my quick thoughts on it. I already have a Series X, but I think it's the most amazing thing, the way that Microsoft is setting up the xCloud right now in order to play on so many different devices. I mean, I'm really excited about it because I don't know about y'all, but I think it's going to change the way that gaming works in the future when you can just
absolutely.
stream
I mean, I
it,
think that we all agree that gaming I think we all agree that this is the future of gaming, you know, Microsoft becoming, or rather, you know, Xbox becoming the Netflix service of video gaming. You know, it's something that everyone else is going to have to adopt at some point. Maybe not Nintendo, since Nintendo is very set on their way.
Yeah, Nintendo seems to do well with their own business model, but I feel like at some point, what they might have to do is not like do what Game Pass does and like everything, including new games, is on there, but they have like their classic collection, right? Like their classic Nintendo and Sega collection. I feel like what they should do that's intelligent is maybe do like a subscription service for that. Because I totally pay for like the option to be able to like you said, I mean, we're gonna buy those old systems anyway, but it'd still be cool to have the option, like if you have a Nintendo Switch or something like that, to be able to just stream, you know, Super Mario Brothers or Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or like any old school game that comes out.
Think about it. Like these could be the. I mean, it's a little bit more complicated than just like streaming channels, right? Because these systems have to do porting and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, think about it. Like, as a service, these could be like the channels, like Sega Genesis
Yeah.
channel, Sega Genesis
Mm-hmm.
Classics, Sega Genesis like 3D, all that stuff. Like, these could all be just different channels in the
Yeah.
service, right?
Yeah. Imagine, like, as the algorithm learns what games you like, let's say you're somebody who's like not from
Yeah,
our generation, you never played these games before. Now you have the option for $5 a month, whatever it is. You go back, you play, I don't know, what's a random flashback, a random Genesis game that not a lot of people know about that Walt and I happen to think is a classic. And then it starts finding you a bunch of other
yeah,
games in that vein that you love. Like,
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that for sure. And like y'all discussed, it's going to change the game immensely. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with that. But I mean, all the stuff that's coming out on Game Pass and the way that all the other gaming companies are going to respond also is kind of something that I'm really, really looking very closely at. Oh, and I have to give one more shout out to another game that we saw a little bit more about after we had our first cast that I was on. The Horizon Motorsport games look really, really fun. Like, or excuse me, the
Yeah,
Forza
Forza Horizon
Horizon.
looks
Yeah.
awesome. Forza Horizon, yeah.
And I can't wait to try that. And also, and another random mention just in the vein of racing, and then I'll move on to my next geek out here. I already sent Walter a message on Microsoft on the Xbox Messenger or whatever it is. Basically, just it said "We out," and it's for the Need for Speed remaster that just came out. Me and Walt used to get on that game and just chase each other all over the place as the
Need for
cops and all
Speed.
that. Yeah, the original Need for Speed Hot Pursuit specifically. Like, we've told
Okay.
stories about Gran Turismo and how we used to get on that. But like we also used to go crazy, like chasing each other all over the place in Hot Pursuit, and that game is so much fun. So I'm looking forward to playing that, and looking forward to playing it again with Walt and us just crashing into each other and trying to kill each other for a few minutes. We always had a lot of fun with that. But yeah, that's the gaming aspect of it today. I'm going to talk about some stuff that I kind of mentioned before that I'm a little bit deeper into, although not that much deeper into. I don't think I mentioned this. I think I mentioned it to y'all personally. I've been watching an anime called Claymore. Actually, I think I did mention it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago in brief, but I've seen a few more episodes. It's really, really good. Like, I definitely would recommend it. A friend of mine named Teresa, like, I talked to her about some animes that I was watching, and she suggested this to me. And the funny part about it is, the part of the reason that she remembered it and suggested it to me is that the main character's name is Claire, and that's my girlfriend's name, right? So for the fans who don't know my girlfriend's name, and sorry, babe, I'm putting your name out into the world over there, ruining your privacy, but so her name is Claire, and like obviously that's a detail that I enjoy because they're saying Claire a whole bunch of times in like a Japanese accent on this show, right? But the name is, it basically implies how like badass these characters are. Like the main character Claire walks around with a Buster sword, basically, which we all know that's the coolest sword in all of fiction, right? If you have a Buster sword, you're gonna
Absolutely,
kick some
one
butt.
hundred
Yeah,
percent. Buster Sword. I mean,
yeah,
just a name,
right.
Buster.
Name Buster
You know what I
sword, and
mean?
of course, Guts was definitely like kind of the guy who originated
Yeah.
that, right? And that's where a lot of these other anime influences started to pull out Buster swords, these swords that nobody could actually handle in real life, and you can't even pull that darn thing off your back if you like think about it. But so what I like about the show so far is the premise is really, really interesting. To give you a little context into what the show is like right off the bat, I get Witcher vibes, The Witcher. Not as comedic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit.
not as comedic, but there's definitely some Witcher vibes on the show because the main character has like that sort of stoicism that Geralt has in the Witcher TV show, the
Yeah.
games and all that. Um, and so the premise that's really cool is they're a group of female warriors. They're called Claymore. That's not actually their name. That's what everybody calls them, which they like to mention every once in a while. It's like Claire will be like, "That's just the name you people gave us. That's not what we call ourselves." But they're basically half human, what's called half Yoma hybrids. Yoma is like a type of monster in this world. And what's interesting is the Yoma are the monsters that the group of Claymores, that they fight and hunt. Like that's kind of part of what their entire purpose is. They hunt the Yoma, and like just like The Witcher, some town will get a Yoma or a monster that they can't deal with, and they'll call on the Claymores, the Claymore, whatever you want to call it, in order to come and deal with the monster problem, basically. But the great part about the show's premise, and I'm going to spoil just a little bit of it and then leave it at that. The really, really awesome part that I love about the show's premise so far is that since the Claymores themselves are half human, half Yoma hybrids, what's happening to them is that as they use their powers, their abilities as a Yoma, it makes them stronger than a normal human, right? They slowly start to become a Yoma over time, like using their power, like kind of destroys their humanity. And like there was
I didn't get that deep into the
it's
show.
only like 2 episodes in when you really start to get these details, which is why, like, if y'all just have seen the first episode, it's cool. It's nothing like earth-shatteringly awesome. It seems like just your run-of-the-mill like action anime. But like in like the second or third episode, like I said, they start to become the Yoma, and there's a really, really great scene that I think sets up what the show is going to be about a little bit. In when a Claymore is feeling like they're close to becoming a Yoma fully and losing their humanity, they send a black card to like their closest friend of the Claymores, basically, and they're like, "You got to come kill me before I become a Yoma." So like, there's this awesome scene where Claire confronts like one of her best friends in the world that's a former Claymore, or that's a Claymore just like her, but she's like about to become a Yoma. And like they have their whole dialogue, and like it's just a really, really great scene. It's got really, really great context, and like
I gotta give it another shot.
I think it sets up
this
the
does
show
sound awesome.
beautifully.
I think it was when I was watching it was like during a period of a lot of distraction,
We've all had
and
that
I just
recently.
didn't give it its fair shot. So
It's worth a try,
yeah,
and I think
definitely gotta give it another
it's only
shot.
1 season. I don't know if they're making a second season. I've seen some stuff about people like complaining that they're not going to make a second season, which it's unfortunate. But what I've seen so far is just fun, even like as a contained single season. So, check it out. Like I said, I think it's, what is it? I'll find out for you right now how many episodes the first season is. It is 26. So it's like Cowboy Bebop. You got 26 episode, 20 minutes per episode for the season. So it's pretty easy to get through. It's breezy. It's fun. The characters are awesome. Totally check this out if y'all got some time to check out some fun anime that you haven't had a chance to check out before. So I've been having fun with this one, and I definitely talked about the next Geek Out that I'm going to talk about here, and I don't want to spoil this one too much for you in case you're ever interested in going back and reading this manga, but I've been reading the Attack on Titan manga and getting a little bit deeper into it. So
not the end.
No,
Don't
I'm nowhere near
the end. I'm gonna
nowhere near the end. I'm still like first season in the anime like type
because
area.
I know a lot of people that actually finished the manga and they are very disappointed.
Yeah, I get that too, but I'm like, you and I both are basically trying to avoid it so we can save our judgments for until we actually see it. Because I'm loving the show so far. I'm loving it so far. To be totally honest, like season 4 was one of my favorites. My girlfriend didn't like season 4. I kind of understand why, but I have my reasons for why. Like some of the gripes are ones that I think they're going to work out. One of her things with season 4, without spoiling it, is she thinks that some of the characters kind of believe each other a little too quickly. I think there's a reason for that, but I'm not going to spoil it because we're not talking about the anime here. We're talking about the manga, and it's really interesting because I think we've talked about this before, like how Hajime Isayama, like he's very involved in the anime, so he made a lot of changes in the anime that he thought like things that he should have done in the manga, basically, like after the fact. And I don't want to talk about it too much. Like I said, we're just geeking out about it. We're not spoiling too much here. For those of you who haven't seen Attack on Titan, for those of you who haven't read the manga, I'm not going to get too deep into it today. But what I will say is one of the big main differences that, at least in my opinion, makes the anime initially better is that, Aaron's the main character in the anime. Like it's, it spreads out and it becomes more about the other characters as well. But he's not really a focus in the manga. It's really strange. And it's interesting because like, I think the show is made so much better when you at least set up Aaron in those first few episodes as kind of like the main character, even though it branches out from there. But there's like no main character. So the manga, I can see why Isayama changed this in the anime. It feels a little bit aimless and directionless in those first few
Okay.
in those first few volumes. You know,
Yeah.
not to say that it's bad. It's still great because we love this show. We love this manga. But the way that they focus on other characters and they don't do another thing that was changed that I think was a great change is that he fleshes out the backstory of all the other characters in the anime way more. Like there's not a lot about the training, you know, the boot camp that they go through in the manga. They
Okay.
kind of just go over that. They kind of skip over it.
Would you say that it would be better to watch the anime and then read the book? It sounds like it'd be
I
better
think
because then you get some context
I
provided.
think only because also, like I said, even Isayama like went into the anime with the idea that he wanted to correct some of the storytelling mistakes that he felt he made in the manga. And I know that there's a
Mhm.
lot of other differences coming up in like the next few issues, and like, you know, as we get deeper and deeper into like the different seasons about how characters like, you know,
Mhm.
resolve certain situations and things like that. There's a little more different backstory I've heard in the manga. Like I didn't try to go for spoilers and all that, but you know, you see little things about what the
Yeah.
differences are.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, like I said, without spoiling too much, so far I like the anime better. I would definitely agree with you in this case because of Isayama's involvement in the anime, that it's probably the better product to kind of jump into initially. Both the subtitle and the dub are amazing. So that conversation about like whether you should do the sub or the dub first, I think it doesn't matter. To be perfectly honest, I've done both and I love both of them. I think I've seen the show 3 times already. I saw it twice on my own and once with my girlfriend. So I'm overloaded on Attack on Titan. Basically, I can't wait till it returns. But yeah, your point is a valid one. The anime might be a better place to start, only again because of the way even the creator itself used the anime and the manga.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I mean, you know, that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of the gist of what I've been, you know, working on and talking about when it comes to Attack on Titan. So that's been a lot of fun
No,
so
that's
far.
cool.
Yeah, it's been great. So I mean,
Well, I
yeah,
mean, it's only the two of us today, so our Geek Out episode is going to be a little bit shorter, of course,
yeah,
right?
I am sort of geeking
There's only
out.
so much time during the
I am
week.
sort of geeking out about one more thing though, but this will be brief. I'm getting more and more excited about the live action Cowboy Bebop show. The more I hear about it, the more I hear it's
Okay.
closer to like fully being. I think, you know, all the filming is done. The pre-production or the production is almost complete. Um,
Oh, they wrapped filming? I didn't
yeah,
realize they wrapped
yeah, because you know,
filming.
I think you're
Okay.
familiar with the fact, not the idea, but John Cho, John Cho, who's playing Spike Spiegel,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
got injured while they were
Hmm.
filming, but like,
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
they finished it, they wrapped all that up, and the more I hear about it, like you see how involved the original anime crew was, from Kodansha and, you know, Yoko Kano, like who did the music for the original, is involved
I
in
mean, I
this.
I think
You
it's
know,
going to be a hit. I think the show is going to be a
yeah, I
hit.
mean,
I think it's going to be a huge
it
success.
seems like what they're going to do is flesh out a lot of the stuff that they didn't really get to do with the anime. But like, since the creators are so involved, that's why I'm excited about it. Because a lot of times
Yeah.
I would be apprehensive. Like, these random people are trying to like make Cowboy Bebop into a whole series. Like, that would be scary to me if it was some random people. But with the involvement of the
Yeah.
creators, like and it just being like such a deep involvement, I'm getting more and more excited about it. And I think, don't quote me on this, but I think there was a photo out there of John Cho as Spike Spiegel, which I want to see if I can find, because I think he's going to do. I think the cast is great too.
I think it's going to be great. I think the casting was
Mm-hmm.
amazing, to be
I
honest with you.
agree.
The casting looks great. And I actually really, really like John Cho as a Spike Spiegel. I cannot wait to
Yeah,
see
he's
it.
a really good actor.
Because he has kind of like the way that he speaks, the way that he acts is kind of like very like a little monotone and kind of always a little bit kind of like looking out into the distance, which is something that Spike does a lot. He's just like looking out and being very anecdotal.
Yeah, and
So
other than like Harold and Kumar, like whatever the heck, he's got more confidence as an actor because he was kind of the nerdy guy with no
yeah,
confidence in that,
yeah,
but he like can play confidence really well in the other things that I've seen him in. So, you know, Spike definitely has that confidence. He has that insecurity too, but I think that's why John Cho is going to absolutely kill the part, and you know, Mustafa
yeah,
Shakir as Jet Black is going to be amazing. I'm just really, really looking forward to it. The
yeah.
closer and
Super
closer we
excited for
get to
this.
it, and I mean, that's it. That's what I'm geeking out about this week. It's a bunch of stuff I've been enjoying recently, but I'm getting deeper into it. And I'm really excited. And like we said, I can't wait to check out Brooklyn Video Games. Man, this is going to be.
Don't forget that, like, I challenge you to get into 8th MS
Oh,
Team.
I was going to say,
Mobile Suit 8th MS.
I didn't want to talk about it on the cast, but I have seen the first 2 episodes. So
You did.
I did, and I enjoyed it. But like, I want to wait until we have like that challenge cast, maybe.
Okay.
Because I still want to. I want to do that with the crew too, man. We got to get them to go on this. For those, the our fans out there who aren't aware, basically, we did a little fun challenge where like Wolfie challenged me to watch a show that he loves, and I challenged him to watch a show that I love, and I started watching 8th Mobile Suit Gundam, which I've seen the first 2 episodes. It's by Sunshine, the same company that did Cowboy Bebop, which is fun.
Yeah.
And I challenged him.
You can see the art style. The art style is not
too
different.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, or that's what I was kind of implying.
One of the few Gundam shows that has that art style.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
Actually, I don't think any. Like, I think Stardust Memory has a close style of art, but this is yeah. I love 8th MS.
This is opening me up to the world of Gundam, which it's something that's kind of long overdue anyway. So I'm trying to catch up. As y'all have kind of heard, I'm just in a big anime kick right now, so I got to catch up on all the old classics. I'm almost through Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which was also a suggestion of yours. Thank you. It's amazing. It's awesome. I love the characters. But I'm trying to catch up on all that, and I'm only 2 episodes in. And the challenge that I gave to Wolfie was to watch The Expanse, which is a show that Walt and I absolutely love.
Which I'm going to do today.
Get a couple episodes in.
And just so you guys know, the challenge is just 3 episodes.
Yeah. And it's basically like a challenge. Like,
so after the 3rd episode, you can't watch any more than 3 episodes. I'll watch 3 episodes of The Expanse, then we'll bring it onto the podcast and see where we are. Like, does the show really grip you and want you to make you want to finish it or whatnot, versus like just finishing it and then talking about it? I want to know what your initial impressions are on the first 3 episodes, because it's my belief that I will give any show the first 3 episodes,
and then after that,
if it doesn't grab me, I might move on to something else. But like for me, a fair shake is not just the first episodes; it's the first 3 episodes.
I agree. That's a solid way to go about it. The first episode is never going to give you enough. I mean, I've seen how many shows. Like the first episode of Breaking Bad is not.
Some
that
shows
great.
can be like that, but not all shows. Yeah, not all shows.
Yeah, like the whole first season.
Actually,
of Breaking Bad is not great.
Actually, it's with Breaking Bad that I came up with the system
because of that first episode.
Because so many people talked about it. And I wanted to give it a shot, and I saw the first episode and I was not super into it. So then I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch a couple more and then see what's up. And then thankfully by the 3rd episode, it was enough for me to continue it. But I still haven't seen the fifth season.
That's okay. You're almost there. Like, and now that Walt has finally seen it, he was the one that I was really, really like pushing for a while. Y'all know that it's like, come on, watch it. Because he's the one who told me about it, which is always the fun little story that we have. But 3 episodes sounds like a good strategy to me, because the first episode is almost never enough. It's rare. Like, I think maybe Mindhunter is the show that comes to mind for me that I saw the first episode and I was like, I gotta watch this. So I agree, and I think, should we wrap it up there? I think we could wrap it up there.
Yeah, I mean that's our geek out.
That's our geek out, man. We had fun with this geek out as usual. Man, we're good at doing this with just the 2 of us too, man. Let's go. We're hosting a kick-ass episode over here. Anyways, I can't wait to get the crew back. One of the other things that we were going to talk about, even in terms of giving a show a chance, is Loki and Bad Batch. We want to talk about that soon. We can't wait to get the crew together to talk about that in the next couple of weeks.
That one we need to discuss. We need to discuss as a team.
I agree. We were gonna.
Very disappointed some of you guys have not caught up,
because we were even thinking about it
on the show. I blame it on the show.
Yeah. Well, we were thinking about talking about it on this cast, right? We were gonna maybe do Loki and Bad Batch, but we were like, no, we got to wait for everybody for that one. And that's I agree, because there's a lot to talk about on both of those shows. I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad, but all right, let's wrap this bad boy up here, I think. As usual, I got to thank our fans out there for all of y'all support. It's just really amazing to see people like respond to the cast, just give their feedback. The best way to support us, as y'all know, is to like, rate, share, subscribe to your favorite podcast, comment on our social media posts. If you comment 4 words or more on Instagram, that actually games the Instagram algorithm. You can get some more engagement for us. We'll comment back. We'll make sure that like everybody has some engagement, and we're going to try to build some relationships in the future of other kinds. So we're going to see where all this goes. And that's it. I'll leave it at that. Check us out where all your favorite podcasts are sold. And I guess there's nothing left to say, but stay geeky, my friends. Love y'all out there. Peace.
Peace.